I hit start recording and then immediately, okay, there we go. Sorry guys, I just got out of a Zoom meeting. I'm having whiplash right now. All right, welcome everyone to our second, or I guess this is our third weekly ACE meeting. Today we're kind of wrapping up our sort of initial just introductory series to get everyone kind of on the same page. We are going to be introducing you guys to the shell. Woo! So this is a skill that if you're an upperclassman, you've probably developed throughout your time here at Tech, but it's something that I don't know is taught very much. I don't really think there's a class that focuses on it, really. So we just want to get this sort of out of the way so everyone kind of knows how to navigate around. And it's, even outside of these meetings, it's something really useful for you if you're doing any kind of like computer programming stuff with your career or anything like that. So, moving right along. First, let's define a few terms. Your shell is a program on your computer that exposes the operating system's functions to you, the user. Meaning any program that lets you actually do things with the computer, essentially. Technically, that means that just the Windows desktop is a shell. But when people typically think of shells, or think of the word shell, typically what you're thinking of is, and it's gone again. All right. Typically when I'm just not gonna look at it, and it won't. Typically when people think of shells, they think of CLIs, which is a command line interface, which is a shell that you just type things into rather than clicking on things. I see that it's blue. I'm not acknowledging it. Bash is the most common CLI that you typically see, especially in Linux. It's, as I said last meeting, Bash means the born again shell. And the reason for that name is literally some guy named Born made a shell, and then someone else made another shell and named it after his shell. Not even named it after him, named it after his shell. What is going on?
It's decided to get on your nerves today.
Yep. All right. So. Yeah. That door should just be unlocked. So. Anyway. So. Yeah. All right. What's up? Yep. Just to catch y'all up, today's ACE meeting is absolutely scuffed. So to actually do things in your shell, you issue commands. Basically, a command looks something like this. You have a binary, which is just Linux terminology for program. You have the program that you're running, and you pass arguments to that program. Same way you use like a function when you're programming. You have the function name and pass arguments to it. Now you just have a binary that you pass arguments to. And those arguments can be positional arguments, which means you just type them immediately after in the order that they're supposed to be entered. They can be flags, which start with a two tacks, as we call it. Or they can be switches, which are flags that have one tack in front of them and are just single letters. So, for example, if I wanted to remove a folder recursively, that would be rm, so that's the remove binary, some folder, which is the name of whatever folder I'm removing, tack r, which is remove it recursively, and then tack force, which means don't ask me my permission to remove the thing I just told you to remove. So, yeah, it is a fun one. The thing that you will be doing most often, more than likely, is trying to figure out how to use these commands. And so here are a couple helpful ways to do that within your console. If you run a command and follow it with the help flag, that will typically spit out some sort of usage string that just tells you, here are the arguments you need, here are the flags that you can do. And man is short for manual. We're not sexist. Man is short for manual, and that will bring up sort of a longer actual manual about how to use that flag, about how to use that command, excuse me. So, let's actually do things now. So, yeah, I'm just not going to acknowledge it. So, yep. Let's all open up our Kali VMs, or open up WSL. And I'm doing this a little weird. I'm looking at the other window in an OBS preview screen, so this will be interesting. And yes, my terminal looks a little different than the rest of you because I'm a nerd and I programmed it to look pretty. We may show you how to do that at some point if we have time. Who knows? So, once you launch Kali and are in your terminal, you should see, which screen am I on? This one? Okay. You should see your username at whatever your thing is named, and you should see a little squiggly line here. That is the directory you're currently in. The squiggly line is just short for your home directory. So since we're in our home directory, if we run ls to list the contents of that directory, we see our subdirectories. You probably don't have any subdirectories if you're new here, so you can make dir a ace subdirectory. And that's the same as going into like your Windows File Explorer and like clicking. That would be the same as creating a new folder, and I am too lazy to demonstrate it. But if you make dir ace, that will make an ace directory. And we can enter that directory with cd ace, and rm techrf. Are you sure you want to? Yes. So, now we want to do things. What do we want to do? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to download some things off the internet, and so we can do things with them. Yes. So, the first command I'm going to teach you guys is, where'd it go? The first command I'm going to teach you guys is wget. Now there are actually two that kind of do the same thing. There's curl, which is older, and wget, which is newer. We're going to use wget. And we're going to go to this. We're going to go to this link right here that I'm going to paste in the Discord and download things. If I can open my Discord. So I'm gonna right-click QC. All right. All right, so I pasted the link in the Discord. You don't actually want to go to that link. What you want to do is paste it into your wget command, and that will download it. So now if we look in there, is that, you're shaking your head.
Sorry, I'm trying to read. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. There it goes. All right, so I posted the link in the Discord that you're actually downloading. So again, that's wget and then the link. Is everybody
It appears my computer does not trust you.
wicked? Can't help you. Sorry. Oh yeah, don't use HTTPS. That is not my fault. That is Danny Shales' fault. Use HTTP instead.
Wait, hold on. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, don't tell them not to use HTTP.
Yeah, normally you should definitely use HTTPS to do everything. But text web server is really weird, so don't.
print.latech.edu, netreg.latech.edu.
Yep, and orgs.lawtech.edu. Yeah, so we have now a tar.gz file. That's a wacky file. What it is, it's a gzipped tarball. That means it uses somebody has used the tar command to compress several files into a archive file and then compress them with gzip. Essentially, it's a zip file, but more Linuxy. To actually do something with that, we want to run the tar command again to extract, and you can literally just Google this. That's what I did. You're not expected to just know that off the top of your head. You can Google like tar cheat sheet, and that gives you those letters. And now, if you extract that, now we have the CLI demo folder where you can actually view the demo files. Isn't that neat? So we CD into that folder, and we ls to list things. And we have a list of addresses that I came up with off the top of my head this morning in Networks. And a shopping list that I came up with off the top of my head this morning in Networks. What can we do with these things? I'm so glad you asked. Let me look at my notes to see what we can do with these things. We curled, we wget. We can edit these things because they're text files, so we probably want to edit them. And there are many, many ways to edit text files in the Linux command line. And depending on who you ask, you will hear many, many different arguments about which one is the best and why it's the best and why you're stupid if you don't use the right one. I will answer that question definitively. The best one is Vim. So, in order to edit that file in Vim, we are going to run the Vim command, and we are going to use addresses as our binary. So that's saying we want to edit the addresses file. And if we Vim addresses, what's up? I am so glad you all asked how to exit Vim. Here it is. So we're going to hit the... So we are going to hit... basically, how Vim works is it's actually a modal sort of thing. So you're in a different mode, and you don't actually start in a mode where you can type things, which really confuses people. You start in normal mode, which is where you can like move around and stuff. So you can use H, J, K, and L to move around instead of your arrow keys. And to actually start writing things, you can hit I to insert. And now you're in insert mode, and the word insert should show up at the bottom. And now you can type things and they actually show up. You can hit escape to get out of insert mode. And as we've already been asked, to actually quit Vim, you hit the colon key to enter command mode. You paste in this command, and you kill the process. No. That was a joke.
Bronson, what have you done?
You've trapped
us all.
Yeah, so no, you don't do that. That does work, but you just hit Q. That's quit. And you can quit Vim. Let's do, what? Okay. Oh, I want to delete the swap file. There we go. So, again, that's once we can see my screen again. So now we're in normal mode. We hit I to enter insert mode so we can insert things. We hit colon to enter command mode so we can do commands. And the command that you all want to know right now is Q. That's to quit. And if you've changed anything, then you want to hit Q exclamation mark, or else it'll prompt you to save your changes. Now, if that sounds like absolute torture to you, I understand. I think you're wrong, but I understand. So you probably want to use nano, which is, which is another text editor, which is much more friendly. So let's nano addresses, and anytime you're like typing a file or something and you hit tab, it'll autocomplete. And now you can use your arrow keys to move around and actually just type things. And it gives you a helpful little guide at the bottom of how to quit nano. Isn't that nice?
Why do you prefer Vim over Nano?
Because it's better.
How so?
Yes, explain your line of thought.
So Vim is designed so that basically your fingers never have to leave like the regular typing position. And there's also just a bunch of like very quick like commands to like move things around and do like quick edits. So if I just wanted to like delete 3 lines, all I do is say D3J, and that deletes 3 lines. And there's a bunch of other stuff, and I can hit U to undo. So it's designed to like be very quick once you've learned it. Yeah, but you have to learn it. And we could probably spend like at least 2 or 3 meetings going over all of the things that Vim can do. But we're not going to do that. So you guys are just going to use nano unless you want to learn Vim on your own time. So nano is how you edit files. So that's cool and all. Now, do I have time? Yeah. So I have shown you guys this before, but this is something you're definitely going to want to have the ability to do, is update all the stuff that's installed in Kali. And how to do that is with the apt command. Apt stands for something. What does it stand for?
Something package something.
Something package something.
Let me give you a better answer.
And it has several subcommands. So our first argument is going to be update. And that will give us a lot of permission denied. Do you want to know why it told us permission denied? Because we're just some chump. We don't have admin access. How do we get admin access? Great question. Sudo. Now with sudo makes you into the root user, which is Linux talk for makes you the admin, basically. So this is the Linux version of right-click, run as administrator in Windows. So now we can sudo apt update, and that will ask me for my password. And, which doesn't appear because I'm typing things. And that will run things as root, which is very cool. Yeah. All right. All right. How's everybody doing? Any issues?
Like out in here, right?
Yes.
Advanced package tool.
Nice.
That's what it stands for.
All right. Yeah. So, what's up?
What's the difference between apt and apt-get?
So basically, apt originally was like 3 or 4 different commands. There was like apt-get, apt-cache, apt-search, I think. And then they were like, that's really dumb. Let's make it one. And they made apt. And basically, apt just calls apt-get, apt-search, apt-whatever for you. So, all right. So, that's all well and good, but if you've ever searched an internet forum for how to do something in the command line, and you've probably gotten some sort of eldritch horror that looks like this.
Yes.
So, what is that? What's going on here?
Oh, is that Reddit?
Yep. Let's find out. So, basically, in the terminal, what you see as just a wall of text here is actually 3 different streams of text. There's standard in, which is everything that I type gets piped into standard in. There's standard out, which is everything that the program prints out to respond to the things I type. And then there's standard error, which is anything my program spits out that's an error needs to be handled differently so it shows up in a different stream. What we can do with that is we can redirect what happens to those streams. So normally they just show up on your screen, but let's say I want to have a script or I have a program that does something with the things I type into it, like sort is one. Sort just lets me type things, and I can say apple, banana, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. It's been a long day, you guys. And I can hit Control-D to undo that, and I very stupidly did 2 things that were already in alphabetical order, so I couldn't show you what sort does, but it spat them out again in alphabetical order. Look at that. But I don't want to type those things in. I have a shopping list that I want to sort in alphabetical order. What do I do with it? Cat, I'm so glad you asked. Cat just spits things out to the terminal. What it actually stands for is concatenate. Because what you can do is you can cat multiple things. So I can cat my shopping list, my shop, and my addresses, and it'll do both of them. So that's becomes useful down the line when you're
Command you use to sort things. Like
sort.
Oh yeah, I understand that, but how'd you get out of sort?
Control-D. Sorry. Control-D spits out, this is the end of what I'm sending you. But what we can actually do with sort, which is the reason sort exists, because me just typing things in isn't very helpful. The actual reason sort exists is because I can take sort and give it this little arrow operator and say, I want you to pull your standard input from a file. So I have my addresses file, right? Or actually, no, I don't want to sort my addresses because they're numbers. I want to sort my shopping list. And now that took my shopping list from standard input and sorted it and spat it out to standard output. And I can also...
Does it save it that way? Does it save it that way?
No. No, so that just... But what you can do, thank you, Seth, is you can do it in the other direction. So I'm going to use a different command as an example. I'm just going to say ls. ls spits out the list of my files, and I'm actually going to do ls tac l, which spits out a more like interesting list of my files. If I ls tac l, but I want to save this information for later, I can put my arrow in the other direction and output it to a file that I name ls.out. And so now nothing gets spit out, but if I list my files again, now I have ls.out. And if I cat ls.out to see what's in ls.out, that it just saved it as text, basically. So that's cool. But we could do even more. We can pipe commands into other commands. So this utter monstrosity that I pasted in before, where every time I do something over here, I have to go to okay. This utter monstrosity that we did just now is actually, so if I just type ifconfig, if I just type this in, ifconfig tac a, that shows me all of my network ports on this computer. But what I want to do with that is I want to filter out and show only the IP addresses listed there. And to do that, I'm going to use grep, which searches for things based on regular expressions. I'm going to be honest with y'all. This is gobbledygook to me. I got this off the internet. But basically, it is specifying that I want to filter out and show only things that match this particular pattern, which is an IP address. So now I have, oh, shoot. I went too far. I went too far again. Now, so what happened now is I took all of this text right here, and I told grep to only filter out the IP addresses and show me those. And then what I can do with that is pipe that into yet another command, which is xargs, which basically says take this program nmap and run nmap on any of the things that get spat out here. And we're actually going to show you nmap next week, right, Seth? We're actually going to show you nmap next week. So I won't go too far into that. And that is, so if you go into what's called sysadmin as a career, you find yourself doing a lot of stuff like this, basically taking commands that give you some information, parsing that information into a way that can be understood by another command, and then running that command on that. It's also useful to you if you do a lot of capture the flags, which we may at some point do. Yeah, if you're interested in that sort of thing, go to LTSec. They're the more kind of advanced cybersecurity focused. Yeah, we'll probably be working with them at some point to do something like capture the flag. But that's basically where you'll be given like riddles or like things you need to hack into. And to solve them, you typically have to use stuff like this to kind of take some or find some information, parse it into something readable, and then do something else with it. So, and all of this is, again, well and good, except I don't want to remember how to do all this crap every time I need to nmap some IP addresses, which is something I do often. So I just want to save this into a format where I can just run it. I can do that. I can vim or nano a script and add in this command as a script, and it's the same as like Python or any other type of scripting language, where basically you can just run this. And in order to do so, we need to give the OS a little hint about what I want you to run this in. So we do what's called a shebang line. Don't ask me, I don't know what that means. But that's just it's really hard to read on that projector, isn't it? So that is a hashtag, pound symbol, tic-tac-toe. I don't know what the proper name for it is.
I've heard it pound.
Yeah, so that's a pound and then an exclamation mark, and that lets the OS know this is a script, so it's text that I want to run through some kind of interpreter, and then we give it the path to that interpreter. So in my case, it's /bin/bash. That's where bash is actually on your system. So now, oh yeah, I should probably paste this command in the Discord.
Copy my name.
I was like halfway debating whether to copy that.
No, the smartest thing to do is ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just going to give you guys the short version that only gives you the IP addresses, because in mapping things is kind of, I don't want to say dangerous, but
I mean, if it's on your own system.
if it's on your own system, it just takes a lot of time, and I don't want, yeah. So that's the command I've been using.
Can we throw comments in here?
Yeah, and in order to comment in here, this is just like, again, any kind of script file. So Python is another scripting language. Bash is a scripting language. It just looks really weird because it was first built as a command language. But in order to have comments, we just do pound sign without any kind of shebang line behind it. And what is going on?
Blue text is kind of hard to see.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I might change that before next meeting. But yeah. So ifconfig is just it shows you just your network statistics basically. So these are the two network like ports that are connected to, and because it's WSL, it's a little weird. But basically on a regular Linux system, anytime you had like a Wi-Fi card or a network port you were being plugged into, that would be one of these. So ETH0 is my first Ethernet port. And
Reason why you ended the file with .sh?
great question. So, not necessarily. Basically, if you know anything about Windows, you know that in order to actually have a file be a specific file type, you have to end it with a extension. Not the case in Linux. I could totally just rename this. I could totally just rename this to script and run script. Oh. Don't ask me what that, or we'll go over what this means at some point. But if I wanted to run this, I could just say script, and that does that. Basically, Linux recognizes what kind of file you're running based on those first few characters of text stored in it. What's up?
How do you save a nano?
Control X, it'll ask you to save modified buffer. Hit yes.
Okay.
So yeah, that's about the end of that. I don't really have a conclusion to this presentation, but that's all I had to show you guys. So just a few clerical, like housekeeping type stuff now. If you haven't already, highly encourage you to become a member of ACE. It's $5. Literally just give one of us $5 at some point and we'll call you a member. What you get is access to a bunch of resources. We have a library of books that you would otherwise have to pay for that are about like getting into cybersecurity, sysadmin, digital forensics, any of those types of like careers. We are working on a few other kind of perks, like kind of a hardware library where you can rent out like hardware that you need for some of your cyber classes. And you get a cool little Discord role, which I know all you cyber engineers love. The other sort of housekeeping thing I do need to go over, this is what the meeting I just got out of was about. If you are an ACE member, you do need to fill out the hazing form. If you are in any other organization on campus at all, you have to fill out the hazing form. We hate it too, but it is required by law. So if you are or if you are an ACE member, please at some point go to latech.prevent.zone. We'll be sending that out in the Discord and fill out the hazing training.
And that's even if we haven't done it before?
If you have done it for another organization this year, you can just send us that certificate that you got. You only have to do it once per year. But if you've done it in previous years, you do have to do it again. Yes, Seth?
Do they change the certificates every year?
I think so. I think they at least like put the date on it.
Well, okay. Anyway.
They're not gonna like check us on it unless one of you accuses us of hazing. So your options are don't accuse us of hazing or do the hazing form. What's up, Seth?
Okay, you said you don't know how to end it, so I thought of a way how to end it. One thing you can do if you're like, are either like that was a lot of information or you're still kind of getting the hang of all the command line stuff, is that there's a resource called a Bandit Over the Wire.
Yes.
That you can use to practice this. Bronson can pull out. Essentially, what it is that it kind of has like a little bit more of the capture the flag-ish type of.
Oh, I had slides, y'all. I completely forgot about the slides. Any questions?
Yeah, it has more kind of capture flag-esque type of deal where it gives you a problem or like kind of a challenge or puzzle that you can solve in the command line, and so you access it via the command line. You play it because it's technically a game via the command line, and and it just pretty much teaches you how to use CLI. So it'll walk you through. Oh, hey, the first one I think is just like you cat open a file, and there it is. Like there's your like password, so to say. So yeah, there you go. It has different levels, and so it even has like some. Go to click level 0. Even has some tips. Like if you're stuck, it says, hey, some commands you might need to know to solve this one. SSH. And then it even gives you some like pages that you can click and learn about all these commands. Like helpful reading material. It tells you what SSH is, how to use SSH, stuff like that. And so if you go like level 20 or something like that, I don't know.
Oh.
So it's a little more complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you start getting into like NC, which is netcat, cat, screen, tmux, a bunch of other stuff. And it's like, I have no clue what that is. That's fine. You just look it up. And so, of course, it doesn't go from like opening a file to this. It's progressive. Yeah. But this is what I used when I started learning all this other stuff. It's super fun. It's super easy to access. And it teaches you a lot just by like accessing it. And so if you're kind of wanting a little bit more practice or just kind of wanting to flex your CLI muscles, go here. And, just like put the level you're on in the Discord or something. I don't know.
Yes.
So I'm looking at it. How do we open up, like, where to work on it?
Yeah, go back to the level level 0.
That's like this one.
So the first level is connecting to it. And so as you can see here, it says the host to which you connect is bandit.labs.overthewire.org on port 2220. Username is bandit0 and the password is bandit0. And so then it says the command you're going to need is SSH. And so SSH is a command. What was that?
It actually should set it up and then.
Yeah. And then you have to say, if you don't know what SSH is, click those things and look it up. Essentially, it's a secure shell, meaning you can talk to a computer saying, hey, I want a shell. And the shell says, okay.
So it gives you access to do all of this stuff just on another computer.
Right. And so actually can pull it up for you.
So
I
SSH.
had 642. That's fine. I won't
Oh, yeah. What was the user?
It was like bandit.overthewire. I don't know.
Yeah.
The user was Bandit.
So Bandit 0 at
Anyway, so if
Bandit.
you wanted to do more about that, check it out. I think it's fun. If you're a nerd like me, you probably think it'll be fun too.
Oh, well,
Um,
bandit.labs.
there you go. I'm just gonna ask for yes. So it's gonna ask for permission denied. Oh, wait, it's on port 220. 2220. There it is, and ask for a password. Use Bandit 0. So this is what it's gonna look like if you get in.
Yep.
It'll say, hey, your username will change because you're no longer you. You're someone else. Yeah, and you can do some really cool stuff with that. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first level. Sorry for the spoilers.
So, yeah. So like you said, that is a great way to learn some of this stuff because I do know that I just spit out a lot of information at you guys, and this was a lot of me standing here and talking, some of it to myself, so sorry. Next week, we are actually starting on, like, Nmap, which is, like,
Fun stuff.
fun stuff. That's kind of the first thing we're going to do that could be construed as hacking. So I know these last few meetings have been kind of a slog because they've just been kind of introductory information, getting everyone on the same page. Definitely hold out, come out to next meeting because we are going to start on some actually cool stuff that you guys, and we will actually be doing like interactive demonstrations rather than me just typing things in front of you that you can see half the time.
Yeah, like who all was or heard about the disclaimer or have seen the disclaimer that we have on most meetings?
Yeah.
We'll see one of those next week. So
Yeah, that's how you know it's a fun meeting.
if you do this and get caught because it was illegal, we're not
Yeah.
responsible.
And we find it funny.
Yeah.
No, because we have a disclaimer. Oh.
So like we do show you guys how to do stuff that is actually illegal if you do it to people that you aren't supposed to be doing it to. So yeah, there is
I mean, yourself.
like yourself for practice, and then the actual like professional use for this is what's called penetration testing. Basically, if you've ever heard of ethical hacking, that's just the more professional way of saying it, I guess. But like if you get good enough at this, companies will pay you lots of money to hack their stuff and tell them how you did it. That's what we're trying to teach you guys to do. Well, come to ACE so we can teach you how to do it. How to know what you did.
So, did you give us like two subscriptions for Nmap?
Yeah. So next week we'll be learning Nmap. Nmap is a way to scan for open ports. So basically scan for ways to enter another system, which is kind of the first thing you need to do when you're trying to hack that system. So, woo. Yeah. What? So that's all we have for tonight. If you, like I said, are interested in becoming an ACE member, come see me. If you are not, sorry. We hope we'll see you next week.
One other announcement. The email that we have is currently not working.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people have reached out to me for elections. I have like 2 or 3 people I know for sure. But all I'll say is DM me on Discord rather than the email because that was a surefire way. Because some emails come in, some don't. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But yes.
Do we want to have election?
Where do we turn in the hazing forms?
If you do a hazing form,
Oh, normally they'd email it.
yeah,
Okay, email it to me. I'll handle all that.
yeah.
It's fine.
We'll send out a Discord announcement with what to do about hazing.
That's a better way. I was gonna write it on the board, but
Yeah.
The meeting was recorded and it'll be uploaded.
Yes, we did record this meeting, and we actually have a working microphone for this meeting. So if you want to go over again any of the stuff I did, or if you want to show it to a friend, that will be on Discord at some point in the near future. I said last week I was going to do like write-ups for each meeting. I'm not going to do that. That ended up being way too much time. So, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, hope to see everyone next week. Or hope to see some of you guys this coming Thursday at tutoring. Either if you want to tutor people or get tutored, we will accept you. Peace. What's up?
Hey, I just paid him to be a member.
Okay, let me bring up the thing.
I wasn't sure, but okay, that is you. I'll give it to you. Thanks. You'll get it.